let's start the meeting. So we have everybody present. So number one item on the agenda, is there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, move on. Welcome to the new members. Well, I think we have one new member. That's Dawn specifically, and then Inspector Clark joining us for the. Are you here for a while, Inspector Clark? Or are you going to be supplanted later?
No, I think the plan is I'm here now and for as long as needed. So I will be around, and I'm happy to join and learn about the committee and see what I can do to help, and also have some input.
Okay. Well, in a normal situation, we go around the table, but since we're not really at an organized shape, I just see an email from Pat just came through my. I just received a notice of an email. Casey, are you going to look at that?
He's not able to attend.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, so since we can't go round the table, I'll call out people's names on the order that I see them on the, and we'll do a very brief introduction for the new members, who people are, maybe a little tiny bit of your background, and then welcome to the new members. So my name is David Daglish. I'm currently the acting chair for the committee. We're having an election later today. And I moved to Stratford in 2018 from Mississauga, where I was a member of the Mississauga Cycling Advisory Committee. So I'd like to make my new home as fun to get around as I found places in Mississauga. So do everything I can to help Stratford be better. So Kathy, could you take the next step?
Sure. Kathy Vasilakos, I'm a Stratford City Councillor. I've been on this committee since my first term, so I've been on since 2014, 2015. Avid cycling family. I've been a cyclist since I cycled in literally downtown Toronto many years ago. So moved to Stratford and thought it was the most amazing cycling place in the world because I'd been riding in Toronto, and then realized that there weren't a lot of cyclists, and sort of started to get really interested in understanding how we could get more people cycling and more people feeling comfortable cycling. So this committee is a great fit for me.
John, can you step up next?
Sure, I can. John Zellick. I've been on the committee for 1 year. We moved to Stratford 25 years ago, and we just thought it was a wonderful community. And I'm an avid cyclist also, and want to see that, Stratford has the amenities to accommodate cyclists of different variety.
Great, thank you. Sarah, how about you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Merkel. I am a health promoter with Huron Perth Public Health. My normal day-to-day right now is COVID communications, so this is very exciting. And I have been pretty much dabbling in active transportation since my start of my public health career in 2012. I was on the G2G rail trail, helping them out from a public health perspective for a year, and then was on their founding board for 6 years as a volunteer. I was started on at ATAC as a citizen rep in 2015 for 2 years, and now represent public health with this. I'm an avid walker, and my family, so I have 3 kids, 5 and under. My husband and I enjoy getting out on our bikes. I grew up in the country, not biking on the road, so it's very scary for me to bike. However, I would say that in my section, the north side of Stratford, I feel very confident. I think the infrastructure is doing a great job. And so I feel comfortable. So if I feel that way, then I think other people can get that way. So I'm very excited to see where Stratford keeps going. And then I also represent public health on our Huron side of things. They've got an injury prevention committee, and active transportation is on that. And then I've worked with some of the people here on school travel planning. So getting kids to walk and bike to school and take the bus if they can take the bus. So I really love that. I'm excited to be here, and I'll throw in some things every now and then.
Frequently, and much appreciated, Sarah. Inspector Clark, could you just briefly introduce yourself then?
Sure thing. Jason Clark, a lifelong resident of Stratford. I've been with the police service for close to 20 years now. My current role is inspector in charge of operations. So Cole's notes of that as I look after everybody that wears a uniform at our place. I'm really interested to join the committee and learn what it's all about and offer any assistance that I can, one, as a citizen of Stratford, and two, as a policing partner, and anything that we can do to help out in this area within the city. So I'm looking forward to learning and getting to know everybody and seeing what I can do to help.
Thank you. Don, how about your turn?
Well, I'm a relatively new arrival in Stratford. We came here almost exactly 5 years ago, escaping from the city of Toronto. We chose Stratford in the first place because it's sort of the geographic center of a whole bunch of grandchildren, specifically 4 of them, scattered all around, none in Stratford, but scattered around various other places. I'm a retired business guy. I'm still active on a bunch of boards, and I've written a few books. I'm currently in the midst of writing another one on corporate governance. I'm interested in this committee. I'm not necessarily a cyclist. I used to be, but I don't do much cycling now. I do a lot more walking. I'm interested in the interface between the active side of the committee, in other words, the cyclists and the walkers, and what's happening with the rest of traffic, because I see a lot of traffic that's moving too fast and in some cases rather dangerously. So I want to see how this committee puts forward ideas that would improve the safety of people on the street.
Thank you. Welcome. Bernard, your turn.
Thank you, David. I was raised in Victoria, British Columbia, came to Ontario in the 60s and became a teacher, and I've taught in most of my teaching career at Stratford. What used to be Stratford Central Secondary School is no longer that. I am on the committee. I think this is certainly my second, if not my third term on the committee as a representative of the Avon Trail. I'm not an avid cyclist, although I have a bicycle to get from here and there when I have to, but I'm more of a walker. But I'm very Johnny-come-lately to the walking field as well in any sort of intensive way. I joined the Avon Hiking Trail. My wife and I joined the Avon Hiking Trail in 2010 and have been very involved in that organization for these many years. I'm now the past president on the board. It's a very active board and a very active club in terms of organizing and maintaining trails, our trail, which goes from St. Mary's to Conestoga, and also organizing and leading hikes along the trail and on other good nearby trails. So I'm interested in, certainly I empathize with the promotion of cycling in the city of Stratford. I think that's great. But my primary interest is with the pedestrian, the walking end of things. And one of my little pet projects with this committee has been to advocate for the marking of the Avon Side Trail that does go through Stratford from east to west, and presently is unmarked in its entirety. And we're cooperating with this committee, through this committee, to the city of Stratford to come up with a feasible way of marking the Avon side trail through Stratford, of which we have a tear-off flyer at the tourist office, and that free for the taking for those who are, who are there to find it. But our goal with marking the trail is that the trail becomes more visible for people who would like to walk it, if they don't happen to end up at the tourist office and take away one of the tear-off maps of the side trail. So I think that's probably summarizes my presence here.
Thank you, Bernard. And Lee?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lee Chandler, a citizen at large here with the committee. I started a year or two ago. Grew up in Kintore, Ontario, just down the highway, and spent the last few years in KW before moving back here in 2018. So happy to be a part of the committee.
Well, thank you. How about the Nick and Casey and Vicki? Perhaps just a very brief introduction of what your role is for us.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name's Nick Sheldon, and I'm project manager for the city of Stratford. And in general terms, my role is overseeing capital infrastructure projects from design to construction.
Great. Casey?
Hi, I'm Casey Real. I'm just here tonight to support Vicki. She's going to be our new recording secretary moving forward. Nancy has a new position in finance. So I won't normally be here, but I was Nancy's fill-in. So if Vicki can't make it, then you might see my face, but ordinarily I won't be here.
Well, thanks for coming tonight. And Vicki?
So I am your new recording secretary. I'm looking forward to working with everyone here. I am a part of the clerk's department. I primarily deal with parking. So kind of the other side of things. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. And if there's anything, always feel free to reach out to me.
Well, thank you. So we're missing a couple of members, and they can introduce themselves next time. Moving on to item 3 is the election of the 2022 chair and vice chair. So are there any nominations, recommendations, or requests?
I just have a little bit of a script here that I need to go through. So I now declare nominations for chair and vice chair open, and I would ask for any nominations for the committee chair or vice chair at this time.
One at a time. So just if anyone has nominations for just the chair first.
I'll nominate David.
I would be happy to second that nomination.
We just got to do the nominations first, and then we'll get to the seconding. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm learning. Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none. So I am going to call for the motion. So the motion to nominate David as the chair for the committee was made by Kathy, and seconder on that motion, please.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. So David Danglish indicated that he would allow his nomination to stand.
You have to ask him if he'll allow his name to stand.
Would you allow your name to stand, David? Thank you. My apologies. So now we will move on to vice chair.
So you can, everyone in favor, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I am bumbling.
The first motion would actually be just to close the nominations. So if you have the mover and the seconder for the first motion, just to close the nominations.
Okay, my apologies.
That's okay. And then David indicated that he'd allow his name to stand. And
Okay.
then now you could call for a motion to elect David as chair for 2022. So you'll need a mover and a seconder for that.
Kathy again. Thank you very much, Kathy. Seconded by Casey. Can Inspector Clark, because you're not a member of the committee, I don't think you're.
Is he a voting member?
No, he's
Or
not.
Is he a resource?
The same as Sarah. The same
Okay,
as Sarah.
okay.
Yeah, back in the day when Dave.
Gotcha.
Yeah. My apologies.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
That was
and that's.
Yep.
Okay.
So then you just ask all in favor then, and everybody votes.
All in favor?
Okay.
And that is carried. And the next one will go much smoother, I hope. My apologies. Okay, so now I'm going to ask for nominations for vice chair, please.
I'll nominate Lee.
Are there any other nominations?
Now you just do a motion to close nominations.
So if there are no further nominations, can I please get a motion to close?
I'll move that.
My
Very much.
apologies. Could I nominate Bernard?
Yep, the motion wasn't done. We can absolutely do that.
Sorry for the curveball, folks.
That's okay. I've thrown about 30 of them so far, so it's okay. Okay, are there any further nominations? Okay, so now can I please, so Bernard has motioned to close the nominations. Can I please get a seconder?
Have a second.
Okay. Lee, would you like to stand?
No.
No. Okay.
Thank you, though, everyone.
Bernard, would you like to stand?
Well, I hesitate to. I should have said this in my introduction. I'm hard of hearing, and I often find it very hard to and difficult to hear what people are saying, which doesn't make it bode well for anybody chairing a meeting. So I think I ought to decline.
Thank you very much. So we'll have to open
nominations again.
Yeah. Casey, do I need a motion to reopen the nominations?
This has never happened before.
No, in fact, you don't. You could simply declare the nominations open.
Thank you very much, Donald. I appreciate that. So I will declare the nominations for vice chair open again. Are there any nominations?
I would like to nominate John Zalek.
Alrighty. Are there any other nominations at this time? Okay. So as no further nominations have been made, I would ask for a motion to close the nominations.
I'll move so.
Okay, so I have Lee making the motion, and can I have that seconded, please? Kathy, thank you very much. John, would you like to stand as vice chair nominated?
I was going to decline, but I feel bad for the committee going through. I'll stand.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, John.
So John has indicated that he will allow his nomination to stand. So I would like to call for a motion to elect John as vice chair for the committee. Can I get a motion?
I'll move that.
Sorry, I didn't hear who said they would second it.
Bernard said he would move it.
Sorry. And all in favor. Alrighty, and that's carried. Thank you very much for your patience with me on this. It's very appreciated. And I'll turn the meeting back over to David.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Donald, for your input. Okay, moving on. the minutes from the previous meeting were distributed. As I commented earlier, I was amused at my naivete asking about moving to in-person meetings back in November. So it was a lovely dream. But anyway, does anybody have any comments regarding the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Bernard?
I have a question, David, and it refers to number 4, adoption of previous, let me see, no, I'm looking at the agenda, sorry, just a sec. I think it's under wayfinding, number 4 on the minutes, under wayfinding, which is the last heading there, and in that, one of the statements there, the first statement, Ms. Merkel noted that the TJ Dolan trailhead signage is in progress, including blazing the trail in 2 phases. I would like clarification on what's going on here. About a year ago, when we started talking about signage in the TJ Dolan, we explored a number of different avenues, including a revamping of the existing large signs that exist at the entrance to the TJ Dolan in three different places on John Street, on West, I guess that's West Gore, is it? And in the cemetery entrance. And then we talked about subsidiary or smaller signage once one gets onto the trail, which would give an interpretation to things like the history of the Avon Trail a little bit, how to read blazes and so on. And part of all of that, this committee voted, believe it was $5,000 allocated to undertake this project. And I understood from things that were said that let me go back one step. It's in August or September, in August of last year, a year ago, this would be August of 2020, I think it was, Tatiana asked for those of us who had input as to what graphics or information we would like to see on that signage. We from the Avon Trail submitted some data to Tatiana, and I think that maybe Wayne did as well from the cycling perspective. At any rate, and then we were told that that was all going to be integrated and compiled into some drafted signage to be done by the City of Stratford graphics people. And so I was surprised to, I guess I didn't hear when Sarah mentioned this at the last meeting, this note in the minutes that Ms. Merkel noted that TJ Dolan trailhead signage is in progress. And so I'm curious, is this progress that's noted here progress towards replacing the signage at the TJ Dolan? And if so, I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't had an opportunity to see some draft of what that signage is going to look like and what's including, and whether we have any feedback on what that draft might look like. So I'm just curious as to, number one, what stage is this at? 2, are we going to have a chance to look at a draft of the signage that's to appear? And 3, how much of the $5,000 has been used up already on this project?
Yes, Kathy?
So it is possible, Bernard, that you missed the meeting where Tatiana did an overview of the status of that project. So I think when Sarah was talking about in progress, she meant that project is in progress. The city, as Tatiana said, they didn't have staff time So I sat on that sort of little wayfinding committee that met with Tatiana to go through some of the inputs into that sign and what they may look like and stuff. And then staff were going to take that back and work with a graphic designer to come up with something, what it would look like and have some input and stuff. But it would come back to this group for input and review and stuff. It's just that it's now with staff to do that work. So that's where it sits right now. And Tatiana did say that it would just be a matter of staff finding the time to pull all that information together and get some kind of a draft ready for us to look at.
Okay, so that's good to hear. So the data, the information that we submitted to Tatiana, however long ago it was, is still in the works. That's being noted and is being used somehow and submitted to these the city graphics people.
Yeah, it isn't. I think they're going to have to hire an outside person to do that. Graphics is what she said. But what they did was they took all of the feedback and all of the information that we wanted on the signs, and it was the large sort of trailhead information signage, and then like the information boards, and then there was a smaller sign that would have more about like how to use the trail and the some rules of the trail. And they took that information, and then also, if you'll recall, we did discuss adding accessibility features onto like how do you create more accessible wayfinding and trails. And I pulled a package from, I want to say Burlington, but somewhere that they did a whole study on making. So she took that information as well. And I think it's just a matter of like staff sitting down with all the different bits of information and then hiring someone to do that, the design work for it. But something will come back to this. Nothing will get built or constructed or done without this group reviewing.
So would I be correct in assuming then that none of that $5,000 has yet been spent?
Oh, I don't think so. So as far as I can tell right now, most of the work has been done in-house with staff, like compiling things and working on the project. I don't think anything has been spent.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you for the discussion. Is there any issue with the minutes, or can we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I can put the motion for it.
Thank you, John. Second, Kathy, thank you. All approved? All in favor? Carried. So moving on, item 5. So we have our, maybe somebody could coach me through what we're supposed to do with the terms of reference, how we're supposed to work through that.
The first couple meetings of the year, if there's anything your committee would like to review about your terms of reference, sometimes people want to update certain parts of it. Most of the time, it stays the same, but this is a good opportunity to just have a look over, and if there's anything you would like possibly change.
And as the meeting minutes say, we're changing to show only one representative from the Energy and Environment Advisory Committee.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any comments, changes for the terms of reference?
Well, Mr. Chair, I don't have any comments. I'm a new member, and so therefore I'm not sufficiently familiar to really say very much. I wouldn't mind an opportunity to think about the terms of reference and maybe come back sometime later. Right now, I'm ignorant.
Ignorance can be improved. Okay, so we have a motion then that the terms of reference be amended as stated in the minutes or in the agenda. Would somebody raise that motion?
I'll move it.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Second. Don, thank you. Don or Donald? Do you have a preference?
Best, I'd stay with Don if you don't mind.
Sure.
Donald sounds like my mother, and I'm in trouble.
Any other objection? Okay, all in favor of the change? Does that also state that we've accepted it for this year, moving forward then?
So we've never passed formal motion. If nothing else changes, we can state in a minute that there were no further changes currently to amend.
Okay. And we could, and if there is, if Don comes up with something that he finds objectionable, we can raise it as a discussion item at a future meeting. Okay. Item 5B, Sarah, transit advertising. That's our topic of discussion.
Yes. So we had talked about in the fall, we were given the opportunity to promote on Stratford Transit. They have screens in the front of the buses. So we were given the opportunity to promote. At some point, I would love to come up with a full year calendar. That being said, I haven't had a chance to. However, I do have an idea that could be easily put into motion pretty quickly, and I can carve out some time in the next couple of days to do that. Next, so we are keen as a committee to promoting school travel planning. And Winter Walk Day is next Wednesday. And so it gives kids it's kind of like a winter push to encourage families to walk their kids to school. Ideally, we would love to see them walk from home if they're within their walking radius. However, we also will encourage to park further away from the school. Maybe it's 5-10 minutes and walk with their children that way so that we're decreasing the congestion around the school. So that is what I was thinking we could be doing and promoting. Now, Winter Walk Day, you can, so I also I'm the co-chair of parent council at Avon Public School. So we're choosing to do our Winter Walk Day next Wednesday. But with that being said, you can do it every Wednesday in the month of February. So I thought that this could be an opportunity. We could reach out to schools, we could send them promotional materials, and we could just put up the ads on public transit. HPPH could share it. Municipality of Stratford, I'm assuming, would share that type of information. So we could just do that encouraging of people walking their kids to school on Wednesdays. Is that something the committee thinks would be a good idea?
That would be great. I know the year that we did the school travel planning with all the schools, if you'll remember, the city of Stratford used their municipal site. Like Mike Bites posted Winter Walk Day. He posted a bunch of different things. So I think it would be a really great way, especially under new business we're going to discuss in a minute, but I think that would be a great use of the transit advertising space.
Okay, awesome. So I am connected to both the mics at the city. So what I can do is I can work with them to be able to get graphics ready and to send out. And then I will see if I can send to school partners through a HPPH stakeholder, and then see if they don't mind sending it out to all the elementary schools in Stratford area. So leave that with me. And then what I hope to do, I'm thinking I'm seeing some white space in my calendar over the next month now that boosters are a little bit behind us now. It was a very busy last month. So I'm hoping to be able to put together a project plan for 2022. I'm going to get Councillor Vasilakis to take a look at it before I present it to council or to the committee here. But I will give everybody some preliminary thoughts that I thought could be promoted. And then if you have anything in the meantime that you think would be great to use on social media and the transit, please send your ideas my way, because I'm happy to add it to that calendar. So a couple of things that I thought was, we had talked about Wayne as our model, bringing bikes onto the buses. So that was one. Another one is trails to check out locally. We can promote bike route maps. We also have stuff from Be Safe, Be Seen. Winter Walk Day I've talked about, and yes, promotion of cross-trail cycling routes. So those were sort of the few ideas I had off the bat. The other one I had thought about, and this is going to bring some people back, is our Snow Angels program. I'm not sure if that's something that we think that we want to promote again. There's a couple of people on the committee from previous years. Kathy, anything coming to you? Like,
what part of the Snow Angels program, the part of that though was also that snow, ice, and walk that Mike promoted every year. That idea of how many kilometers of sidewalks are there, what can the plows do, what can't they do, how you can support making it more walkable. And then he even had the little bit from the health unit about, like, if you're out shoveling snow, careful you don't have a heart attack, or, you know. So I think it might be a really good time to re-up that information. Mike used to do it every year, and you know, COVID kind of threw a lot of things, but I think it would be really interesting to see what he's got from the past, but then also see if we can expand that. The Snow Angels, it's still there, it's still sitting there, which it just never got a lot of uptake.
So, and to give people background, Snow Angels is a really great program where you can plug in your postal code of where you live, and you can say that you're looking somebody to help shovel snow, or you can plug in your postal code and be a volunteer, and then you can kind of get matched up with people locally to be their snow angel. So it's a great kind of community engagement. And we were partnering with the Stratford Public Library. They were going to help people if they needed to enter in the information. So maybe what we could do for now, just in case I get sidetracked with things and I don't want to hold things up, is I can put it in as a placeholder for December and then maybe January next year. So those can be sort of some months that we can continue forward with that type of thing. And like Kathy said, we can give it some fresh eyes just to see anything else that we might want to consider. Does that work for everybody?
It does. And that might be a good one to consider with like Public Works turns over from summer operations to winter operations on a schedule. So it might be really kind of interesting to integrate some of these information pieces with their winter turnover. Like there's some communications around what to do with plows or how often, like that kind of thing. Like it might make it easier going forward to slot this calendar in. The one I thought was Bike Month. I don't know if there's like a way to promote that just as a separate item, but Bike Month would be a good one to promote.
That's a great one.
Does Bike Month include the Bike to School type program?
Yes. So Bike Month encompasses it, which is great. So we tried to push it out sort of, and we haven't done a full-fledged Bike Month promotion yet, but we've like slowly done it. I think I have big ideas of what Bike Month can look like at some point, but we have started to like do little things here and there. And I think when you put it all together, so yes, the school travel planning is absolutely part of that. And in the past, we've done these incentives where we've gotten kids with their families to walk and bike to school. We've given them tickets and we've had coffee there. So that would definitely be part of those activities during the month of June.
Kathy?
And that's where, and again, years ago, we had the committee and it was Inspector Clark, it was back when Dave Stewart was still on this committee. So way back was where we also had the group where the City Center BIA had their car-free Fridays. So then we had walk and wheel Wednesdays with the schools. And so there was sort of like this integrated idea of active transportation throughout a month. And so we may get some sort of traction in reaching out to the BIA as well and seeing whether they have anything planned.
Great.
Social media wise.
Yes, sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, Dave, I just spoke on a turn there. But Sarah, anything social media wise that you think a benefit coming out of the police service would help as well? Please include me on all those messages and I can have our media officer promote all that stuff on our social media accounts as well.
That is fantastic. I will definitely make a note of that. Thank you.
I guess the goal is going forward to have a sort of a full year roster of ideas to keep rolling through. Mm-hmm. So once we put it in place, it just rolls through and gets updated and refreshed as necessary. Great. Any other points for this topic? Okay. Moving on. Business driving. Okay. Item 6, school zone safety. That's your topic then, Kathy.
So this comes back every so often. We do a blitz, we have conversations, we do school travel planning, and things are okay for a while. And then it does seem like all at once the wheels fall off that bus, because I've now had, even today, I had a usual suspect who was quiet for a while, sort of basically saying, call me out on school parking. Pretty much that was the message. And so there are residents around Avon School that don't like the parents that are parked where they shouldn't, and people can't get out of their driveways. There are parking issues. There are safety issues. I had contact from a parent about some near misses around Bedford School. It's kind of our, and there was a suggestion that maybe parent councils could fundraise for infrastructure like crossing, and I went, oh, we can't, really the equity issues around allowing one school with, rich parents to pay for infrastructure when others, it occurred to me that it's just the same thing that happens every so often. And I think, again, this group doesn't, we do school travel planning. Hopefully we can start that up again. Hopefully when Sarah is not as busy, we can pull that group together. It involved school boards, police, health unit, this committee, as well as the busing company, and all came together, but we're not going to be able to pull that together until COVID is sort of under control. But so we can't really direct city staff or police, we don't do any of that. We don't tell them what to do, but we do make recommendations to go back up through, I'm reminded that, and we used to do this a little more often, where we made recommendations to council, and then that would work up through the proper channels. But last year, I'm sorry, COVID time, I'm not sure. There was a really good collaboration between parking officers and the clerk's department and infrastructure and development and the police to go out and have a look at what was going on at the schools and around the schools. And I'm wondering whether that needs to be repeated again I think it needs to be done on an annual basis, but as I said, you can always tell when it's no longer working, because I start to get the phone calls.
It's Sarah, go ahead.
So as I said, I'm co-chair at Avon Parent Council, and I've been slowly trying to introduce some school travel planning into Parent Council, because I just want to get a taste and feel to see if others found it to be a problem, which they do. So what I have done is I've sent them the report that Samantha McGinnis, who was a previous school travel planning facilitator for the city of Stratford, she created a really great, thorough report. It's now been sent to Avon Parent Council. So I've given them the next month to take that in, because it's quite lengthy. And in the meantime, they've sort of agreed to the winter walk day as a first step towards maybe including school travel planning as part of Parent Council every meeting. So I'm hoping good things. It takes a lot of work, as we know, and people engagement. But that school, we recognize for sure it's a big problem. And we're hoping to put some solutions forward as time goes on.
John.
Just for clarification, is the real problem parents dropping off and picking up their children and cars all over the place?
I will, and people don't like it when I say it, but I did a walkabout with Darren Fisher and Ed Dolovic at the time, who was the director, and we've done it. And then Councillor Ingram and I did it again. And I walked from my house to Bedford School before the bell, and I walk in the middle of the road until I get to school. Sorry, he didn't hear that. Just to see, right? The only car I saw was Ed the first time. You can stand around, wait, and 10 minutes after the bell goes, you can walk home, and it's the same. You might see a city bus and one other car. All of the congestion and the traffic issues and we've done all the counts, and we used to stand out there with clipboards, freezing our butts off, counting cars and seeing what was going on. Sarah's the woman that she alternates for, who sits on this committee, we're just, Darren used to say, I'm right here. I have a car. It's a police car. I'm in a uniform. And they still, right? Like it is parents dropping their kids off to school. And I really wish I could say it was different, but it's all the congestion, the rushing, the all of it. And a lot of it, unfortunately, is also kids that could be on a bus that aren't on a bus. So we used to get like half empty buses showing up in the morning, and the kids be on the bus. And so the kids are late, they can't get on the bus. So the parents drive them, but then they get on the bus in the afternoon. We did counts, didn't we, Sarah? We had counts that year. We could actually tell you, like we had counts. How did you get to school this morning? How did you go home? And that was part of it. So, yeah. And so.
And I imagine when the weather gets worse, when you have inclement weather, it just compounds the issue. And now you have the weather as well in terms of visibility.
Yeah, and roads and snow loads on the roads, right? And now you have children, and you have snowbanks, and you have children behind snowbanks trying to cross the road, and cars going too fast, and there's any number of cars rolling through stop signs. Yeah, like it really, and part of it is like infrastructure, but part of it also isn't, right? I mean, parents doing 55 and a 40, right?
It's bad behavior, period.
And it's cultural. But I just like everything else though, right? I took the bus and then I walked to school, right? I'm not that old enough, right? But my kids walk to school, right? But if it only takes one generation to create a culture of rides to school, I don't think it should take more than a generation to reverse that. But it's like, well, I can't have my kids walk because it's unsafe, but it's unsafe because you drive your kids, but I can't, around. But we also did the data, and this is all we did. So like, it's convenience, right, Sarah? Like the number one reason was convenience, right? The number one reason that parents gave for why they drive their kids to school is convenience.
Absolutely.
So beyond the travel planning that we've already envisioned, is there other things that we think that the committee could be involved in that would help with this matter?
Well, I'm wondering, like, we can sort of like a reminder to, like, if the motion goes back up to Infrastructure, Transportation, and Safety Subcommittee, there's a motion, like there's a process, then it could be brought to that committee's attention. And then that way the committee can then refer to staff to work with the police and clerks and everyone else to have another look. It also flags school zones for things like, now we have funding for, but also the ability to put in crosswalks now, the different kinds of crosswalks. We've started to use them throughout the city, and they're working quite well, although the chaos of drivers learning how to use them. Sarah, the health unit did a great job of trying to teach people. But I'm just wondering whether this group needs to sort of send it back up again as a reminder that we're here again.
Okay, Sarah.
I definitely agree with that. The other thing I've been dabbling with in my mind, so I'm not sure if anyone's familiar driving in Kitchener-Waterloo. It could be other jurisdictions as well, but I've seen these bollards that are in the middle of a street that you have to kind of drive, like, that they're there, and they also have the speed limit right on it. And I mean, of course, there's going to be people that speed past them, but if you're trying to turn, you have to turn, you have to slow down. And I'd be very curious, if this was something of interest, I could pull data on that, and that could be on certain crosswalks and crossings near the schools, part of that comprehensive approach that we're looking at, as just another layer of sort of creating that awareness. That's that visual thing right there, that it's 40 and under to give parents like, we need you to slow down. So I don't know if that's something that we would be interested in looking into, but that's something where I'm just trying to think creatively outside the box when it comes to these school zones.
Kathy?
There is a current motion referral to staff to come back with that, relooking at that 40 km/h. More councillors might pass this time, but one of the recommendations within it is to look at some of those traffic calming approaches. So that's still in progress, but I think the other thing to remember, and Nick can tell us, the transportation master plan is being redone, and part of it is the active transportation of bike and pedestrian master plan, but part of the focus is also supposed to be Vision Zero. So I'm wondering, I think they're close to going to consultation on it, and if they do, maybe perhaps this this committee could provide some feedback, and part of that could be those things. But Nick, if you could tell us where staff are on that, because I don't want to speak out of turn.
So yeah, that is with the consultant right now, and there hasn't been public consultation yet, but I think that's a good idea for this committee to bring it to their attention. Yeah.
Don, you had a comment?
Yeah, I suppose in some ways this is close to the issue that got me interested in coming on to this committee. It's not so much, in my case, simply around schools, it's across the whole city. I live on a street where in the 5 years since I arrived, there's been an influx, very happily, of young families. Some cases it's families that have moved there and they bring a bunch of kids with them, or it's young couples that are producing families. So where the first Halloween I was here, I had nobody come to my door. Last fall, there was a string of kids. The point being, we've got a lot more kids up and down the street. And I live on a street that has no speed limit. It's not posted anywhere from one end to the other. And I happen to have a friend on the police force in Toronto, so I have used a gun a few times, a radar gun, probably illegally, but it was easy to pick up on any afternoon, 2 or 3 or 4 vehicles traveling not just above 50 miles an hour, which is the limit if it's unposted, but 65, 70, and in a couple of cases as much as 80 and above. And this is on a street where we've got all kinds of kids on bicycles, on scooters, walking up and down the street. It's a huge problem around the schools, but it's a problem everywhere else. And I think this committee should stand behind a lot more safety on the streets for pedestrians and for bikers.
Kathy?
And I would say that last year, the #1 complaint that I got, I mean, even more than potholes, if you can imagine, was speeding on different streets. It's not just your street. It's like it's all over the city. And it's gotten to the point, I would say the level of complaints, when we tried to pass the 40 before at council, there was a lot of hemming and hawing about its necessity. And there wasn't a whole lot of, it does seem to be a growing problem. And so that's where I think that with the transportation master plan, it would be a really great opportunity for this committee to have input into all those pieces. So if we're looking for what maybe when it like, again, we should be making decisions by motions and stuff. So maybe I'll throw it out there, a motion for staff to pass along the active transportation committee as a community group to be consulted on the when the consultants go out to public consultation.
If that's a motion, I'd be pleased to second it.
Okay, any objections or further discussion on the motion raised? Okay, all in favor of the motion as Okay, carried.
And then maybe if we're looking for another, I'll just, while we're at it, I'll throw the.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, is that, I don't know where that's from, that noise, but I'm going to try. If you can't hear me, let me know. Maybe the next one should be just a recommendation to Infrastructure, Transportation, and Safety Subcommittee to have a discussion about school safety, safety around schools again.
Anybody would like to second that? Hey, Bernard, second. Any further discussion on the matter? Okay, all in favor of the motion as raised? Okay. Carried. Thank you very much. Excellent work, Kathy. Thank you.
I'm hoping we can do school travel planning again. It was fun, wasn't it, Sarah? Wouldn't it be nice to go back to doing that rather than COVID?
So nice. I have dreams about it.
We're giving out prizes and giving parents coffee and yeah, I think Dave Stewart used to give out ice cream vouchers, and it was just so positive and so fun, and it'd be really great to get back to that.
Yes, Inspector Clark. Jason.
I would just like to offer up there, Don, you're talking about a specific street that has a lot of speed issues. With me as part of these meetings, please feel free that if you know of an area in town that really needs to be addressed, obviously we can't be everywhere all the time, but I can definitely direct our staff sergeants to direct their constables to certain areas to, if you know a certain time of day or what have you, where we can set up and do some radar. I can tell you each month when we report our stats to our PSB, speeding is our #1 charge, whether it's Stratford, St. Mary's, or Perth South. It's the biggest problem traffic-wise that we deal with. So, but I offer that to anybody that's on the committee here, or if anybody hears from any other community member. If you know of an area that seems to be real bad and needs some attention, please let me know, and we'll try and get people out there for us.
Should I contact you directly, or?
Yep, that's fine. You can contact me by email or my cell number. I'm happy to give that to you as well, Don.
Well, thank you very much.
David, I have an email from the police chief that sort of tells the public, you know, what to do so that they can actually do exactly what Inspector Clark has just said. And so maybe what I can do is I can share, could I get your information? And so maybe it can be shared along with that little descriptor of what, so that if you're hearing about anything, like if this committee is hearing from people or whatever, sometimes people contact you because you're on this committee, you can give them the information that they need to contact the police for some of these things. I'm just thinking, you know, and just, I do it all the time, but I'm wondering if the rest of you would like to as well.
I'd love to have it. Would Inspector Clark, would you feel comfortable in sharing your email?
Yes, by all means, no problem. Do you want me to send you an email, or you just want me to voice it now to everybody? Or I can put it, I could voice it now for everybody if you want to.
Sure.
I believe you're copied though too. You're copied on the emails, right?
Yeah.
From these, so we can grab it off there. But if you want to say,
Yeah, we can take it from the email.
Okay, good enough.
Dawn, if for any reason you can't find it on the email, let me know and I'll send it to you, okay?
Okay, thanks. I've got it.
Oh, wonderful.
Excellent. So thank you, Kathy, for that suggestion, and Inspector Clark for your offer. Is there any other new business that you would like to discuss? Okay. I note.
Sorry, Dave, you're muted. We couldn't hear you.
I've got some very busy children in behind me here. So I note that the next meeting is February the 23rd via Zoom. So look forward to seeing you all then. Would anybody like to motion to adjourn the meeting?
If I may, Mr. Chair,
yes.
I don't think you want to adjourn the meeting. I think you want to terminate.
Fine, thank you very much.
Although under the City of Stratford procedural bylaw, it is called adjournment. So it's technical, but that's what the procedural bylaw calls it. So.
Again, correct terminology versus practice. Okay, would anybody like to motion that the meeting end? Lee, thank you. And Don, second. All in favor? Motion to adjourn is always in order, as the saying goes. Thank you very much. See you all next month.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.